The Desview T2 Teleprompter. Worth the money? Let's find out right now. News from the booth! I think technically the name of this is Desview, but they have this little eyeball logo above the D, which makes it look like a B, which kind of makes it look like Best View. So, I don't know. On the side, though, it says Desview. So, hi, villagers. Welcome back to the Voiceover Village. I'm Rick McIver, the Desview Teleprompter. I said in the opening, it's not worth it. I was really hoping it was. I wanted to love this so much. I wanted it to streamline my workflow. I wanted this to be able to help me half the time that it takes to make these videos. It didn't. It more than doubled the time it took me to make these videos. And I know kind of what I'm doing. I've been a videographer for a long time. I've actually got a degree in theater. I read scripts. I've done radio. This is stuff I know how to do. And this made everything so much harder. Let me tell you why. So, what is this? What do you get? Well, in this lovely box, you get this. This is the teleprompter. This little guy right here. And it works by sliding itself onto your camera. You get these little rings. And these rings have little marks as to what the millimeter is for the size of your lens. Nowhere on the box, nowhere in the description of the product online does it say the range of the millimeter of the lens adapters it uses, which means this smallest one, this is 49 millimeters. This is small. It's not small enough for the lens that I use. I have the Canon M50 Mark II, and I use this lens, which is the EFM 22mm f2, which I really like. This 42mm adapter doesn't fit. So you're going to have to purchase a 43 to 49mm adapter so you can screw this on to your M50 and then screw this on to your camera. A small detail, but it was just kind of the start of a downhill experience. Let me keep going. So this is how this works. It's basically, if you don't know how the teleprompter works, let me see if I can open this up without breaking it. That's one of the problems. It comes like this. It doesn't come with this thing attached. This is the little attachment for your iPhone that goes on here, which I'll talk about in a minute. It comes with this little plastic hood attached, and that's great because it protects the glass, but it's really hard to get off. Like, as you're trying to pull it off, you don't want to break it. It doesn't slide at all. It's locked in. It's not moving. Now the back, you got to put the little protector thing over the back so you don't get your fingerprints on it. But at this point, I've used this and tested it 3 or 4 different times. I hate it, so I don't care if I get fingerprints on it. I'm not going to use it anymore. So you have to kind of pry this thing off. And it feels like, and it says push right here. Okay, I'll push. And it feels like you break it every time you take the cover off. Even though you don't. So here's the cover. So here's the glass, right? So the glass fits on your camera lens and reflects your iPhone, and you can read the words, supposedly. So as far as a teleprompter functionality, it does what it's supposed to do. But one of the big drawbacks of how they have this designed is that it dims your view. The light that gets through is significantly reduced. So that's number one. So the functionality of how this is designed is actually quite problematic. This screws on to your camera lens, and then that, in turn, screws on or locks in like this. So your lens is basically holding the weight of this. Now, this on its own is really not that heavy. But when you put an iPhone in here, and I have the iPhone XR, so it's not like a big giant phone. It's a normal size kind of phone, I guess. But when you put the weight of the phone in here, it pulls down on the camera. And it makes me a little worried that I'm going to damage the lens. So that's number 2. I don't like it because of how it's designed. The weight of the teleprompter is actually on the lens of the camera. Yeah. So because this sits on the end of the lens like that, we come to our third problem, which is my biggest problem with this whole contraption. It messes with the autofocus. Imagine this. Your lens has to turn to focus in and out a little bit. The M50 does a great job with autofocus. However, when you stick this piece of junk on it, it weighs down that ability to focus. And so it frequently lost focus and tried to compensate and fix. It created this huge problem in my workflow, meaning that I had to start and stop and start. I'm in the middle of a sentence trying to read the thing, and then I had to hit the remote and say, oh no, stop, because it went out of focus. And if I hadn't been paying attention to the monitor, all of the stuff that I would have read would have been out of focus. Have I mentioned I hate this thing? So here's our fourth thing. Depending on your background, it's possible that you can actually see on your image that you're recording on the camera the words as they're scrolling. For some reason, when your lighting is just so, I was able to see, because I kind of have a dark background sometimes, I was able to see this blurry image kind of scrolling up over my shoulders when I played back. No, just no, no, no. Number 5. The whole thing is, well, as my kids like to put it, janky. It doesn't feel solid. Like I said, with this cover and the remote that doesn't actually work that well, all of it feels very cheap, like it'll break at any second. Number 6, this remote doesn't actually work really well. It shows that you should be able to like scroll up and scroll down and slow it up and slow it down, but really all you have is start and stop. That's it. In order to actually scroll back, if you miss something, you have to reach over to your phone, which is sitting right here, and scroll with your finger to get back and then hit start again. The remote doesn't work. Okay, so this next one's not really the fault of this actual teleprompter, but just the idea of teleprompters in general. Imagine this sitting in front of your camera, and you have to adjust something. You have to adjust the f-stop, or the focus isn't right, which happens a lot with these, and so you tap the screen on there to get it. This blocks all that functionality. If you need to get to your camera to turn something on or make an adjustment, it's such a pain to actually try to reach around this thing and actually make an adjustment on your camera. Next, the teleprompter software that you're supposed to use with this. It's horrible. You go to flip it around to have it be mirror mode so you can read it. It kept flipping. I would have it on horizontal view and then it would suddenly shift to portrait. And now all my words are sideways and they're scrolling. What? The next is this clip. You're supposed to be able to put your iPhone in here. You pull this back, lay your iPhone in there and let it go. But to actually get my phone in here, I had to take the actual case off my phone and pull this all the way out and then set my phone inside here and then it would barely, this is sized poorly. You're supposed to be able, you can take out these little screws and flip it around and then use the iPad mode or either. This was too small for my iPhone. This side was too big for my iPhone. This side was too small for the iPad. So the clip in itself barely works. And like I said before, everything feels cheap and like I'm gonna break it at any second. The last thing here really doesn't have a whole lot to do with this particular model of a teleprompter. And it's just about teleprompters in general. Unless you're really, really good at reading from a teleprompter, everything will look like you're reading from a teleprompter. And when you read from a teleprompter, you just don't look natural. You don't look like you're thinking of the thing you want to say before you say it. It looks like you're reading. It looks insincere. It's just not worth it. The thing is, I watched a whole bunch of review videos on this very specific product before I decided to purchase it. I don't know that they were all honest. And I hate giving bad reviews on things, but I've got to be honest. This let me down. It let me down a lot, and I don't like it. Let me know what you think. Do you have one of these? Have you used a teleprompter for your videos? I'd love to know your stories. let me know down in the comments. And while you're down there leaving a comment, you might as well hit that like button. It would really help me out. Well, I hope this has been helpful. At least, hopefully, it's been a cautionary tale. Thanks for watching. If you want to geek out and watch some more videos about YouTube and voiceover, check these guys out here. Thank you so much. Until next time. Does anybody want a teleprompter? Because I don't. Seriously, let me know in the comments. I might send it to you. Biggest gripe with this piece of junk. Wow, that was really, I said that really, I was mad. Let it go, man. From a horizontal view to a landscape, or from a it kept flipping back from a horizontal view.